So now let us begin. So I would like to welcome all of you, including our champions, youth participants, and WIGO members and partners from all around the world. It is really a great pleasure to be with you today, and thank you so much for your participation. Today's workshop, Inventive Thinking for a Youth-Led Future workshop, it is one of the 15-week long program champions, one of the workshop series. WIGO Smart City Champions is a youth program that is geared to help youth to foster knowledge as well as to build consensus around the concept of smart city. And last week, we had our first workshop for the second phase of Champions program, where 20 selected teams of youth delivered 2-minute pitches of their innovative smart city project proposals, and we had experts from across sectors to provide feedback for our youth champions. The recording of the first workshop is also available on WIGO's YouTube channel, so please feel free to visit our channel to watch the workshop from last time. And our workshop today marks the second workshop of the Champions Phase 2 workshop series, and it is aimed to inspire youth and young professionals to help them spark innovative ideas to learn to envisage practical steps to translate your vision into a reality. And our champions have already brainstormed, conducted research and to develop their proposals. And I believe what they really need to hear now is how others have turned their ideas into action and what challenges they have faced and how they overcame their setbacks. So I hope today's workshop will be the platform for you and our champions to gain much insight from the success stories of Smart City youth CEOs that we have invited today. So before we begin, I would like to, sorry, the slide was a little bit late, but I would like to point out that today's workshop is co-organized with our Chengdu regional office, and Madam Lily, one of the Director General of Chengdu Foreign Affairs Office, has always shown great support for WIGO activities. And this time, we would like to extend our special thanks to the Chengdu International Sister Cities Higher Education Institutions Alliance, an affiliated body of WIGO's Chengdu East Asia Regional Office. The Alliance has contributed a lot in developing today's workshop together with WIGO, and now I would like to invite Ms. Janet Zhou, Program Officer of the Higher Education Institutions Alliance, for a congratulatory message. Ms. Janet, the floor is yours.
Thanks for introduction, Anna. Morning, dear champions and speakers. Summer greetings from Miss Yang, sitting next to me, and myself from Chengdu, the hometown of giant pandas and the park city with snowy mountain view. As you may find from my background, today is not only the second workshop of WIGO Smart City Champions, but also entitled as the Youth Exchange Workshop of Chengdu International Sister Cities Higher Education Institutions Alliance. So what does this alliance all about? Well, it is a non-profit and non-incorporated alliance joined by universities located in Chengdu and from Chengdu's international sister cities on voluntary basis. Initiated in 2016, the alliance aims to build an exchange platform and promote resource sharing and project cooperation among its members. Up to now, 36 universities all around the world have joined the alliance, and a bunch of events have been successfully held each year, namely the Technology Innovation Forum, College Students Innovation and Creativity Competition, Tutors Tour, Practical Forum, and like today's Youth Exchange Workshop for a third time. This year, we choose to partner with WIGO to encourage students from the Alliance to take part into the Smart City Champions and today's workshop in particular. Welcome, all of you. Just wish you may gain inspirations and ideas from today's rewarding workshop and pay more attention to our future activities held by the Alliance. Finally, I'd like to share with you the top 3 attractions for Chengdu citizens nowadays. First, hike at night in Longquan Mountain to enjoy a magnificent sunrise. Second, camp in any of the 300 parks in Chengdu to enjoy the beauty of nature. Third, a 100 kilometers bicycle ride along the Chengdu Green Belt to explore one's limits. Sounds amazing. Then find yourself opportunity to visit Chengdu and experience the real charm of a real hot city. Thank you, and back to you, Anna.
Thank you so much, Janet. Seriously, Chengdu Regional Office's support has been playing a huge role as we develop Chengdu training program as well as the Champions program. We really, really appreciate it. So, okay, moving on. In today's session, we are going to open with our introduction of the esteemed youth CEOs who will be sharing their insightful stories with us. And in session one, we will listen to the first-hand experience of our speakers, how they have pioneered in the field of smart city services and what it took for them to get to where they are today. And in the second session, we are going to open up the floor to our audience, including our champions, and I will hand the mic to those who have submitted your questions in advance. And then we are going to proceed to open up the floor to everyone to ask the questions. So please use the Q&A function to raise your question and also the raise hand function so we can invite you as a panelist to deliver the question by yourself. And remember, please, when you are asking a question, please clarify which speaker you would like to ask the question to. And lastly, we are going to conclude our workshop with more information on our next week's event. So please stick around until the end. And I would like to inform you that one of our speakers, Mr. Rama Ratia, CEO of Clue, had a really urgent agenda that he was not able to join us today. And on behalf of him, I apologize for those who actually expected to listen from him today. But we did have the honor to invite 3 distinguished youth CEOs. And first, let me introduce Ms. Natalia Mikhailova, CEO and founder of Weave Air. Ms. Mikhailova has a background in engineering, chemistry, and design, and she started a research initiative to develop technologies that would not only track the air pollution, but also purify the air that we breathe. Next, we have a representative from Chengdu, Mr. Tony Chen Tao, founder and CEO of FutureLink. His company is devoted to promoting international communication and cooperation with China. And lastly, Ms. Dorcas Mbembe, one of the winning participants of Citypreneurs Program and Urban Innovative Challenge, and her startup EcoPlus manufactures paper packaging from banana fibers. And thank you all for joining us today, and we look forward to listening to your presentation just in a bit. So now let us begin the session 1, success story of youth smart city entrepreneurs. In this session, we are going to invite Ms. Natalia Mikhailova. Mikhailova, she has really rich experience in developing the novel devices and adaptable wireless networks for air pollution monitoring. And in 2018, she established a smart city company, Weave Air, that develops sensor modules that improve indoor air quality and energy efficiency. And also she has been named Clean 50 Top Engineering Leaders and Corporate Knights Top 30 Under 30 in Sustainability. That's a very impressive achievements, and it's so great to have you, Ms. Mikhailova, and we are excited to hear from your story today. Please begin your presentation once you're ready.
Thank you very much, Anna, for that kind introduction, and thank you for the invitation to be here. It's always such a pleasure to share our story and also to see if we can help, in any way. I'm always very passionate about the city entrepreneurship and how we can improve the cities to improve the quality of life. Just a quick question to the organizers. I am having trouble screen sharing. It says that it was disabled, so I'll wait for it. Okay, thank you. So I wanted to introduce the story of Weaver and actually how we got started, which was very much with the support of Vigo team and also the support of the community of corporate partners, of all the organizations that support Vigo. So it was such a pleasure to be able to work together. So just a bit about the company that I founded, Weaver, and also our team and how it all got started. So originally, something that was really close to the heart of me and my team is, how our cities operate, how we can understand the things that drive the people to be healthy and how we can improve them. Air pollution, unfortunately, is still one of a big concern all over the world. Even though we had reduced some contaminants in the air during COVID pandemic, it's still a big problem. And it was also a big problem when I was starting this type of company, this type of research. And something that really was interesting to me is that even though we all know about the causes and all the issues that come with it, it's still a very difficult problem to solve. And I am the type of person that is very much driven. I think there is always a technology solution to the problems that come up. But there is always a human solution. So there is always a combination of human and technology solution, and that's very important to recognize. I think as a young person who is starting this like a company or starting new projects in this area. So this is something that I felt so passionate about, so that I started doing a lot of research. I started building different solutions. I started building different sensors and different algorithms to try to figure out how can we understand what drives people behavior. How can we not just reduce the pollution at the source, but how can we make it better? So this is the work I did initially I started in completely different area. I was doing research in like pharmaceuticals, developing new medications, developing new solutions to make formulations. And after this, I realized, this is much bigger, the global problem, the pollution that affects everyone. And even though I could design a medication and I could design something that is like a sort of solves the problem after it happened, for example, when a person gets asthma, partly due to air contaminants, for example, but it's already a band-aid solution. We need something that is a systemic change. We need something solution that reduces it at the source. So this is what inspired me to start my PhD in this area. So I did my PhD in chemical and environmental engineering from Canada, from University of Toronto, and we also worked on a number of different topics related to this during my studies. What I was lucky enough to have is that also exposure to many multinational projects. So as something that I would like to highlight, for everyone who is starting their own business, it's very important to get as much as possible involved in the different projects across the world, because that's something that really makes you emphasize and makes you understand the context. Because for a global problem like this, it's very important to understand how different people perceive it and how different people respond to it. And so I was really lucky to have projects, in Netherlands, with Peking University in China, with universities in Brazil. So it was gave me like a new understanding of how different cities, how different governments and different people approach this problem, and also inspired to develop better solution. So one of the lessons here is that it's very important to get as much exposure to this as possible, and I think you're already doing a good job with this, with the participating in the Vigo programs and events, because it will give you exposure to a lot of this. So just I wanted to highlight the trajectory, the history between us starting with the projects with Vigo and going forward. So we were one of the winners of the Vigo Smart Challenge City prize early on in our trajectory. So we at that point, I just had some prototype, some idea of what we wanted to do, but not so much like a full developed company, a full developed project. During this time, through the Vigo networks, through the connections that they have, we were able to make some introductions to some partners, some companies in South Korea. So we founded a company in South Korea. This was a bit later. At first, we started in Canada because my research was done in Canada. And then we started the company in Korea. And this was a very, very important experience for us because it allowed us to really understand in Korea what I'm always very happy to see is there is a strong focus on tackling social issues, and one of those issues is air pollution and fine dust and yellow dust and how we can prevent this. So this was very, very impressive for me personally and for my team. And we started working with many corporates, many corporate partners through some of the introductions. Of course, as a startup, as a small company, it's very difficult to get connections, you know, to companies like LG or to big smart city projects like SR Post. And but at the same time, if you try to ask other people for the introduction, often they are very happy to do this. And this is something that was a bit surprising for me at the beginning because, you know, I thought it's, you know, usually there is a lot of people, reputation is, you know, introducing you to other people, but at the same time, I think you have advantage as a young entrepreneur because you have such a belief in your technology that people like to help you. So I would really encourage you to get as many introduction as you can in the very beginning because it helps you improve your product. It helps you improve your technology. And as I mentioned before, you know, it's not just about the technology. It's not just about the problem you're solving, but how people respond to the problem and how they can use the technology to improve the cities, to improve people's lives. So that's how we got, you know, started. We got some introductions. And after this, you know, because we were already doing some projects, for example, we started a pilot project with the Seoul Metro in Korea, and we were working with them on one of their innovation challenges to look at the air quality in the Korean metro system, in the trains, in the stations. We discovered that, you know, this problem is actually very applicable. Our solution is applicable across other areas. So we got approached by the different organizations, including Singapore Tourism Board, and they were very interested to, you know, explore how this can be applied to other scenarios. And this includes, like, for example, hotels. And at that time already, you know, the pandemic has started. The COVID-19 was already affecting many lives. And also the COVID is very likely to be impacted by the air quality, because if you have small particles in the air, they can actually help transmit the infection throughout the building because of the, first of all, there's two effects. One is the pollution causes you to be more sensitive to infection by affecting your lungs and your airways. And the second of all, there is particles in the air that can stick with the virus and then it can pass further on. So this was an important understanding, and many of the organizations started being interested in our solution. So we started a project with the Singapore Tourism Board that allowed us to start a company in Singapore and expand with many projects there, including with different hotels. And also start projects with other organizations, including construction companies, including sensor designers to design new solutions, as well as different companies across other areas. For example, recently we also started a project with the maritime company. So it's a shipping company, and they are interested to reduce the carbon emissions and the pollution emissions from the vessels. So it was surprising for us to see just how applicable this solution is across the different areas. And even though this might seem that it's like sort of difficult to make those connections, but I think it's important at the beginning of the projects to really understand what is the full scope where it can be applied and how you can apply it so that you can select the best way to commercialize your solution so that it has the biggest impact. Through these networks, we were also fortunate to have like a lot of support. So we got the investment from many different organizations, including Techstars, which really helped us to, have the funds to successfully continue building the solution. And that helped us to get introduction to other investors. So if you look back, it's very important to, I guess, to understand that everything is connected, and that it's important to create a path for yourself and for your projects and for your companies to be able to achieve the goals that you have. But sometimes the path can be unexpected. So don't be afraid to take some chance with some project, because even though you might not have, maybe right now, you don't have the full expertise you need to implement it, but you can make it happen by build a team around it. So it's important to take maybe that risk, and then you can assemble the right resources to make it happen. So just want to highlight a bit more about what actually we are doing with this project. So basically the problem we are solving is this big untapped opportunity that is connecting how buildings and spaces and cities are managed in terms of health and the environment efficiency, the energy efficiency. And this is a link that is something that not very sold by many companies, because some companies only focus on energy efficiency and some companies focus on health. And there's actually a big trade-off in between those areas. And this is untapped opportunity. So the major things we focus on is the energy savings, reduces virus and contaminant transmission, as well as increasing trust and loyalty and reducing maintenance costs in the spaces. We call it the safety as a service solution. So we optimize how organizations save costs, improve people's lives, and also increase trust. And there is many different types of components to it. So when you think about your product as well, like it's very important to break it down in like what is actual capabilities that it can achieve. Maybe it can be successful in other areas as well. So for us, it was like one of them is energy. So we noticed that by deploying our system, our sensors in the buildings, we are able to actually not only improve air quality, but save energy. And how we do it is we basically can detect when the ventilation system is not working correctly, when it has some, the filter is filled up, so it actually blocks the air that goes through the system, or there is that kind of preventative maintenance is needed, or the organization is having trouble to meet their standards. So it's very important for them to achieve this. Another one, of course, is one of the most important ones for us is reducing air pollution and improving the quality of how the space is managed. So we offer different ways that the air filter can be optimized in the space. So it helps the organization to ensure they're not wasting resources. They can choose the filters where they actually is need, and also optimize how they are positioned. Improve the cleanliness, and also improve the ability to meet government standards. We also look at the maintenance, so how the space is being managed, so preventing the failures. As I mentioned before, we want to prevent the causes of the pollution. We cannot, like right now, stop the factories or other kind of sources right away, but through this data, our goal is to change people's minds, change people's behavior. And one of those behaviors is how we maintain this system, like for example, buildings, for example, vehicles, to reduce the output of the pollutants. We can also improve the space zoning and planning, and also diagnosing hazards like smoke coming from different sources. And finally, we also help organizations improve their revenue with this data. So, by improving air quality, by improving thermal comfort, we also track, temperature, humidity, and other factors in the space to avoid people getting affected by it. We create a visual display, so it's always the data is communicated to the guests, to everyone who stays in the building, so that they can trust the space better. And we also detect how people use the space, so we can adapt the systems to their needs. So there is two components we offer. One is the software, one is the hardware. The software enables decisions that to be smarter, and the hardware is basically collecting this high quality data. And something that is, we are proud of is that its system can be deployed in pretty much every situation to detect those things. And it enables cost and energy savings, as well as revenue and reputation benefits. which results in return of investment for the organization that is in a very short time. We also noticed that it's for especially right now during the COVID time, when we are still like trying to reduce the cluster, reducing the risk, it's very important for people to feel safe in the space. And one of the factors of feeling safe is the air quality, and how the air quality is managed and how it's used to prevent the spread of infection, for example. So we noticed for our customer, the hospitality and vendors, it's actually it can increase their revenue. They can install this solution and charge more for some of the spaces because the people trust them more. So it's very important to discover these factors that have, in case of your solutions, that can increase the likelihood of customer adoption. For us, we started as a cost-saving company, but then we realized that many hotels, our customer is not only care about cost savings, they care more about the revenue. And so that for us, it was important to understand what can drive them to adopt the solution, so we can offer this to meet their main pain point, and then we can expand to other ones as we extend our projects. So as a result of this, we are able to be recognized by many different awards, including recently in the Singapore Asian Clean Energy Summit and also with Asian Development Bank. We are very grateful for all this support. And also we have launched many projects all over the world, including with companies in Singapore, South Korea, and Canada, and also with many types of organizations across different sectors, like hotels, transportation, construction, smart city, and industrial organizations. In summary, I would like to summarize that every city, every building has a lot of opportunity for you to improve the environment. There is still so many problems we have unsolved in the cities. In our case, in our journey, we discovered our focus was on air pollution, but I feel there is so many things that you can basically solve in the case of the smart cities. And I would really like to encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity with Vigo to be able to learn from the network, learn from the experts, and to be able to apply your solution. And I hope this presentation kind of help you to give you some maybe advice or maybe some inspiration, but always feel free to reach out to me after this presentation. Also, if you would like some advice, we're also very happy to offer advice. Actually, we also, me and my team have launched this small program that allows connecting startup founders between different parts of the world. So if you have a project or a startup, you can get connected between the different locations, different countries, and you can collaborate together on the project, because it really helped us in the beginning when we were starting out to collaborate with other startups who are in the same position as us, a very early stage, like trying to explore. And sometimes they had some customer that wanted the combined solution, and our customer wanted some other solution, so we could introduce each other. So we're currently doing this type of program. So if you're interested, very welcome to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nikolova. Really, your encouragement means a lot to our champions and also to us. And it's really eye-opening in a way that you have really connected your passion with something that you really want, with the social value that you really wanted to create. And we really appreciate that you took time to prepare for your presentation. We really appreciate it. So now moving on, let me invite our next speaker. So Mr. Tony Chen, he is an economist. He has background in economics, finance, and he also worked in a US consulting firm as an economist before establishing his own business, FutureLink, which is the leading digital event brand with the greatest international perspective in Western China. Mr. Chen joined a domestic investment company as an international business director and ran an international chamber as a secretary general. So thank you for joining us today. Mr. Chen, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tony Chen. Well, I'd like to share the screen, just a second. Okay. You must be able to see it now.
Yes.
Okay. Let me just put the full screen. Hi guys, my name is Tony Chen. I'm the founder and CEO of the FutureLink. What we do is we provide a smart solution to the virtual and hybrid events. Natalia just told us she was working on a safety as a service. What we do is we provide a software as a service. So we started this company for this tool since 2029. But before I get into the details about exactly what it is, I'd like to tell you why and how we get into this. So back to 2015, I have established an organization called 富有青年 FutureLink. That was actually the first version of a FutureLink. And at that time, our mission was to connect the global youth leaders and promote the international exchange. In order to achieve that, and well, we share a core value, that is, we encourage people to have the knowledge, creativity, responsibility, dreams, and future. And we share a slogan too, is that together we go further. So the idea you can see is to link the people. In order to achieve that, we have several exchange programs. The first one was, we called it Chinese Youth Ambassadors. So on the annual basis, we host foreign delegations visiting China as young leaders. And we will recruit the Chinese youth ambassadors to match them one-on-one. And we send them to visiting the local governments to understand the local policy, to send them to do some sightseeing, and also have some networking events, also pay a visit to the companies and industry park and so on, so that they will better understand each other, and hopefully in the future they can collaborate. And the picture on the right, you can see that that's a group called the JTC Junior Team Canada from Global Vision, a non-profit organization from Canada. And we have done a 5-year program with them. And the second program, we call it the Go Global. So we send the Chinese entrepreneurs to foreign countries. The picture in the middle, that shows us sending the delegations to visit Mexico with a previous premier of Sichuan province. And we also send the people to Canada to pay a visit to the First Nation group, as well as when some people to Israel to meet people there and to finding out business opportunities and so on. And the third program, we call it the Future Dialogue. On a monthly basis, FutureLink work closely with consulates and civil organizations in southwestern China, and to promote the Chinese and the global cultural exchange. So we encourage young fellows to exchange ideas with work people so that they can understand each other better. And lastly, we also do a future seminar. So in order to do that, we host or help or organize various industry seminars with embassies, consulates, and trade commissions in Chengdu. We help the local Chinese enterprises to work closely with foreign entities in order to achieve their business success. So between 2015 and 2019, we have actually hosted or organized over 80 in-person events, and we have collected over 3,000 industry leaders from 50 countries and areas among over 100 world cities, and we also link over 1,000 enterprises. With that, a lot of experience, we start to feel that there are lots of challenges as well. First one is every time we do an event, it's always at a limited time and place. So we get complaints from our members that they are from different cities, and we cannot always do events in a foreign place or in another city. So if one person missed the event that we organize, they will have to miss it forever. So we believe that every event we organize could have a large more potential, but it's always limited. And the second thing is, once we have some networking event, we see people just talk to people they're familiar with, or they just randomly run into someone. They can never get to meet everyone or talk to everyone and understand each other. So it's just a lack of efficiency. And thirdly, as an organizer, we only have limited information. We collect some information through the registration, and we have some like a sign-up paper. scattered everywhere or in our team members' computers. We don't understand what they want, what they need, what they can provide. So we believe we can do better. We can do a lot better. And lastly, I believe many of you should have that kind of experience attending an event. If you're bored and tired, you just play with your cell phone, surf on the internet, play with your WeChat or Twitter. You know, I want to improve that. We want to encourage communication and help people succeed. So getting to 2019, we initiated the idea of the smart venue. That's how we get into the current version, the 2.0 feature link. That's called Fuqing Hui Zhan Yun. And on the right, you see the prototype product that we created in 2019. We applied it to the 2019 EU China conference with a parallel session called Take Up Chengdu. And with that tool, the audience and speakers will be able to exchange the ideas through a parallel venue online. And they can post topic discussions and chat the business requests, and they can network with people attending the conference and exchange their business cards. And because the system is bilingual, so the European speakers are able to chat with the local Chinese audiences. They find it a good practice, and we wanted to do a lot better after that. Then we move into 2020 because the COVID-19 that really created enormous needs for the virtual events in the expo business. And we did a little bit of research. We understand that, you know, every year in China, there are 1.1 million 50+ people conferences, and there are over actually 10,000 exhibitions taking place on an annual basis. So we believe this is a good industry to get into. So as speaking of the function and structure, right now we currently focus on the 2B version. We create this SaaS smart event tool. So basically people can easily create a virtual venue and where people can do the registration, do the program, to see the program agenda and see the exhibition, watch the live streaming and B2B matchmaking and so on. That's how we do for now. But the next, as we're accumulating more and more virtual events, getting more and more cases, more and more people, I think in the future we can start to create a community where people will be able to find good events and network with other people and sending out business requests and develop their business opportunities through this whole platform. And that will be a 2C version, and that's going to take place in the near future. So the main idea here is we want to link the information with the events and to the people. So in order to achieve that, we leverage a lot of AI technology so that we'll improve the people's experience attending the event, as well as to help the organizers to do things more efficiently. And secondly, we leverage some metadata analytics skill technology so that we will be able to understand the users a lot better, so that the hosts will do things more efficiently and do a better job. And we focus a lot on the international events. So we have like a 4-language system as well. Oh, well, now I want to show you, speaking a lot about what FeatureLink is. So now I want to show you the product that we currently have is with this SaaS program, people can easily create an online venue for the events, either it's virtual or hybrid, on both the PC and mobile end. With that, people will be able to see the company details or products they have, or they can watch the exhibitions and or the live streaming, and they also can exchange business card with all the participants. Like today, we have like over 100 participants here. But if it's with the tool, you will understand them better, and you can download the files and review the things, and you can link through the agenda, you will be able to link the speakers and the sessions. You can screen and search, and you can even make the contact directly with the speakers, of course, under the permission. So that's the thing we produce. And as I said, we want to encourage international communication. So right now, the software has 4 basic system language: Chinese, English, Korean, Japanese. And all the comments can be made in their own language, and they will be easily AI translated to the system language. And with the live streaming, you can see the AI subtitles and with all the translation. So for instance, today's event, if someone does not speak English, you can still participate in this event by seeing the translation in their own language. And if the event has a simultaneous translation, well, the person will be able to switch the channels by watching in their own in the chosen language. So the core logic here is with a lot more and more events we accumulated for our clients, they will be able to invite the right people to the right event. And next is for the participants, they are able to explore the good event and start to build their business network through the platform. And with more and more understanding of the participants, the system will be able to allocate information more in a smarter way, so that will increase the reach and engagement and break time and space and limitation for people to participate. And later on with people's behavior, we will have the system to study the behavior and help people to understand, help the organizers to understand the users' needs and their capacities so they can do a better job in the next time. And that will be a spin. So with this one tool, we believe we can provide in different, we can help in different scenarios. For instance, the hybrid events or virtual events, or especially like today, we're giving a presentation, a 15-minute presentation. After it will be gone. But you know, if we have like this permanent venue, people will be continuously coming back and see things and meeting people and exchange cards and so on. So we believe this is useful according to our experience. Well, data security is always an important key as we do this IT project. So we have a private cloud for each client, and they have a password to have access to, and we have a restriction, and we will never transfer, disclose, or sell the data to any third party. And everything will be analyzed in a black box or distributed in a black box. Even our administrator won't be able to see the data from our back office. Everything is screened. So some examples, this one was taking place in 2020. That was actually the first international virtual event in Chengdu. We helped the Chengdu Chamber of Commerce to organize the event. We have invited speakers and audiences and companies from 19 countries and areas. Then there were 236 enterprises with 448 products. At the day of the event, at the end of the day of the event, we only have like 1,299 participants with close to 2,000 exposure. But as of today, you can see we have like over 1,700 participants and over 4,000 exposure. That shows a long tail impact. That means like even after the event, still people coming back to the event to review things, to find people, to serve the companies and making business contact. And after the event, we get a letter from the director of Metrade Chengdu, Miss Annie, and she thanked us for helping the Malaysian companies to finding up business opportunities on this platform. And we are so proud of it. Second event I would like to share with you is last year, we helped the Canadian Embassy to do hybrid event inside embassy among all in Beijing. That was actually the first one, and also proud. There were over 100, well, close to 200 people has joined the event, 34 of them from Canada. And several Canadian ministers has participated in the event, and ambassadors with a lot of like big bosses in LNG products, industry in China has participated in person in the embassy. With a lot of restriction, we still managed to handle the event, and was a great success. And some officers from Canada told me this was actually a very good practice, because with this kind of practice, a lot of high-ranking speakers will be able to participate, because they save them time and cost, as well as under the current situation, it will be a lot easier for people to communicate. And they believe there can be a lot more practice like that will increase the value of the event. And the third event I'd like to share with you is we're currently working with International Bamboo and Renton organization. We have, well, that was the first, INBAR is the first intergovernmental organization that has its headquarters in China. Right now, they have 48 member countries. Last year, we helped them to organize 7 international virtual events on FutureLink. accumulating close to 2,000 users from the world, like 64 countries, and they are happy with it. And right now, we're also currently working with their Bark, one of the largest bamboo and lantern industry conference in China, in the world, actually, taking place in November. And last month, we were helping the ITS called Intelligent Transport System Asia Pacific Forum. And that was the largest international forum in Chengdu in April 2022. We have helped 189 speakers with 28 parallel sessions, and the audiences were from 24 countries and areas and every province in China. And it was a good practice, and we are also proud of it. Between 2020 and 2021, FisherLink has actually helped over 70 virtual and hybrid international events, and the number is still increasing. So that's FisherLink. What we do is we want to provide a smart solution to the virtual and hybrid events and help people to link together and help them to grow their business and help people to understand each other and help them to succeed. That's what we do. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tony. Really, the eye to identify the needs and challenges and putting into action, like what to actually respond to the need. I think that's really the key point here. And thank you so much for sharing your experience with us in detail. We really appreciate it. So now let's move on with our last speaker. So our speaker today is from Congo. Her name is Dorcas Mumbembe. She will deliver her presentation in English, but also in French. So we will have an assistant today, Mr. Charlotte. Thank you so much for your willingness. I know it's 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. there. Thank you so much for joining us today. And yes, more about Ms. Mumbembe. She established EcoPlus in 2020, and this company ranked among 15 best startups in an international circular economy program in Germany. And the company has sold more than 20,000 paper bags in first year. And her dream is to market her paper bag packaging in Central Africa and to the world. So let's invite Ms. Mumbembe to the floor, and we will help you.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
We will have your presentation ready just in a second.
Ok, merci beaucoup.
Thank
Je sais pas, je dois dire bonjour ou bonsoir parce qu'il est 3 heures chez moi.
So
Charlotte, tu es là?
she's just saying hello because it's 2-3 a.m. So hello to everybody.
Je me présente, je m'appelle Dorcas Mbembe, je suis la CEO d'EcoPlus.
My name is Dorcas. I am the CEO of EcoPlus.
EcoPlus est une start-up congolaise qui est dans la fabrication de papier biodégradable à partir de la fibre de bananier pour confectionner des sacs et des emballages.
EcoPlus is working around packaging for sustainable solutions to revolutionize the industry within Kinshasa.
Et nous avons développé également un type de papier hydrophobe, c'est-à-dire un papier qui est imperméable à l'eau et à l'huile.
So we've developed a type of paper that's hydrophobe. We'll talk a bit more about that later, but it's impermeable to oil.
Est-ce qu'on peut passer, s'il vous plaît,
Next slide, please.
Yeah. Je suis congolaise de la République démocratique du Congo, en Afrique, et j'ai vécu à Kinshasa, la capitale.
I am from Democratic Republic of Congo, which is in Central Africa, and I am from Kinshasa.
La ville de
It is one
Kinshasa
of
est parmi les
Africa's
grandes
mega cities.
villes, est parmi les grandes villes d'Afrique qui comptent à peu près 17 millions d'habitants.
And Kinshasa counts about 17 million people.
Next. EcoPlus a été créé en 2019
So EcoPlus was created in 2019.
Comme je venais de l'expliquer, on est dans la fabrication des papiers pour confectionner des sacs et des emballages. Mais
As I already mentioned,
on a également plein de types de papier innovants, donc qui est un papier imperméable. Et je me trouve présentement entre la France, l'Allemagne et la Suède, où nous travaillons sur le brevet européen.
as I previously mentioned, we manufacture banana fiber paper and packaging with the aim to replace all plastic packaging in DRC for greener consumption. We are currently in Sweden, Germany, and France and exploring the European scene.
Ok. Notre start-up compte à peu près 15 employés et majoritairement de femmes, donc 70% de femmes.
Our team is made up of 15 members, and we are 70% women led.
De 2019 en 2022, nous avons réussi à peu près 13 prix. Donc, je cite le plus récent, les 5 derniers. On a réussi les Free Citypreneurs où nous avons été premier prix à Kinshasa. On a participé au programme Circulaire Économie Accélérateur en Allemagne en 2021. On est également lauréat du Challenge Afrique Plastique 2022 et on est également lauréat du Global Challenge Innovation des top 12 en Suède.
So between 2019 and 2022, we actually received around 13 prizes from around the world between not only DRC, but globally. And the most recent prizes that we received were Citypreneurs 2022 in Kinshasa, which was the first prize in the growth category. We've also received or been selected as this year's cohort for Circular Economy Accelerator in Germany, as well as a cohort for AfriPlastics Challenge, which is supported by Canada, and the Global Challenge Innovation based in Sweden, where we made it to the top 8.
Next. Alors, d'où est venue l'idée? Je vais parler de 2 grands points. L'idée est partie d'un problème personnel, mais aussi d'un décret qui a été promulgué par le gouvernement au pays.
So where did this idea came from? It actually came from 2 key points. One was a personal problem, which led to inspiration for the solution. And the other one was a government decree, which brought a market opportunity.
Ok. Ce problème personnel a été une inspiration. Tout est parti de la livraison des légumes que j'ai faisais à domicile en 2019. Et j'ai débuté un problème de papier, de emballage plutôt, parce que j'utilisais le plastique et ça faisait faner un peu le légume.
So back in 2019, I had started a business where we were shipping produce to different clients around Kinshasa. And we noticed that when we were using plastic packaging, it actually deteriorated the produce a lot faster, which is where we came up with the idea of making our own, which also came from a need to solve the plastic issue.
Ok. Partant de ce problème, j'ai voulu faire avec, utiliser les papiers craft, mais vu que ce n'est pas produit localement, c'était toujours importé, je t'ai évité à de problèmes de livraison, mais aussi parce qu'il n'était pas aussi imperméable, donc il y a d'autres légumes qui dégagent de l'eau, et du coup, ça n'allait pas vraiment avec ce que je voulais faire.
So originally, we first looked towards using paper, craft paper, but very quickly we found that that was an issue because we wanted to have something that was locally produced, and we were also looking to have a type of paper that was impermeable, so that would not leak water. Since the produce that we have, depending on the various types, some of them have more water or less water. It was something that was important to include in the product development.
Alors, il y a également le prix qui était élevé, donc on n'avait plus assez de marge. C'est par là que l'idée est venue la question est venue dans la tête, pourquoi pas produire les papiers moi-même. Et tout est parti de là.
So we also were looking at price point, and given the fact that we wanted something that was cost efficient, we decided to just try our luck and make our own.
Et c'est par là que j'ai une formation de base en chimie, donc j'ai fait pas mal de formations en chimie. C'est par là que j'avais déjà un peu l'idée sur ce que je voulais. J'ai commencé à faire mes recherches et avec mon équipe, on a pu développer une formule pour faire le papier en fibre de bananier. Et vu qu'on était également buté au problème de l'hydrophobie, donc on est revenu sur ces mêmes problèmes pour essayer de développer un papier imperméable. Et on a essayé de faire ce qu'on pouvait jusqu'à avoir la formule qu'on a aujourd'hui, qu'on veut breveter.
So I have a background in chemistry, which is where what brought me to do a bit of research on the material. We went in, me and a couple of people, just looking at what was possible in terms of developing a paper that was locally sourced as well as impermeable.
Euh, le, le deuxième opportunité, c'était aussi venant du décret du gouvernement. Et on a vu qu'au pays, il y avait déjà un décret qui existait depuis 2017 qui interdisait l'utilisation et l'importation de plastique. Mais seulement, ces décrets ne pouvaient pas être mis en application parce qu'il n'y avait pas d'alternative. Alors, quand on a vu, c'est qu'on avait développé et on s'est dit, ça peut être une bonne opportunité du marché. Et voilà, c'est ça qui nous a poussé encore à faire ce que nous faisons.
We also developed we also came about from the solution because with regards to the national government regulation, there was actually a restriction on importation of internationally produced plastics into the country. This is quite a big problem in Kinshasa. And so since there was a big market gap because there weren't any local actors that were making alternative solutions, we jumped on this market opportunity and really, tried to develop our own solution that was locally produced.
Next.
Next slide, please.
Difficultés et opportunités. Quelles sont les difficultés qu'on a rencontrées au début? Au début, c'était très difficile de trouver un capital, donc les financements de démarrage.
So at the beginning, with regards to difficulties and opportunities, when we were first starting off, I think the most challenging part was trying to find capital to launch our solution.
De concours pour essayer de collecter des subventions et de pouvoir démarrer l'entreprise. Et c'est comme ça que nous avons obtenu notre capital de démarrage.
So we took part in a number of programs in order to secure funds, and that's what was able to help us launch.
La deuxième difficulté, je parlerai de la qualité des incubateurs. En fait, chez nous au Congo, il y a, maintenant, je peux dire, il y a quand même des incubateurs qui ont commencé à faire bien les choses, mais au départ, c'était assez difficile de trouver un bon incubateur qui peut t'encadrer sans pour autant t'exploiter. C'était plus de l'exploitation de start-up.
The other thing too is that when we were launching our solution, there was a lack of incubators that were providing adequate support for entrepreneurs. And so this is something that we really would have benefited from, but worked around and were still able to overcome. Nowadays, there are a lot more quality incubators available. And so the ecosystem is really developing.
Il y avait également le recrutement parce que c'était quelque chose qui devrait démarrer. Et du coup, il fallait trouver de bonnes personnes pour pouvoir le commencer. C'était vraiment assez difficile de pouvoir recruter l'équipe de base. Et étant
And we
donné que
also
nous étions une jeune start-up, on n'avait pas le moyen pour payer et on devait faire avec les moyens de bord.
And when we were first starting out too, another thing was finding a solid team to join us on this entrepreneur journey, finding people that had talent to take part in the team. So this was quite a process.
Mais également au niveau de l'administration, parce qu'on est dans un pays où il y a tellement de taxes et les startups et les grandes entreprises, vous payez, disons, la même chose. Et du coup, c'était vraiment très, très difficile de s'adapter dans les systèmes.
Current regulation in DRC, it doesn't discriminate between big corporates and startups. And so at times when we were setting up the company, I mean, up to this point too, it's sometimes challenging to go through the administrative and tax management because the regulation is still being developed on this point. So it's a bit of a sometimes challenge.
Et on s'est retrouvé également face à une forte demande, mais la production était faible, vu qu'elle était encore artisanale.
And the last point, we actually ended up having very high demand, but we weren't able to meet production just because we were focused on artisanal production at the beginning. And so this was something that we were looking to remedy.
Alors, au niveau des opportunités, on a déjà un grand marché. Donc, le Congo compte, la République démocratique du Congo compte déjà plus de 80 millions d'habitants. Et rien qu'à Kinshasa, nous sommes déjà à 17 millions. Donc, c'est un très grand marché. Et il n'y a pas un géant dans cette production. Donc, le marché est tellement grand, énorme.
So tying back to the last point, we're actually faced with an opportunity that's massive, given the fact that Democratic Republic of Congo actually has over 80 million people living in it. Not only that, but Kinshasa itself has close to 17 million. And so there is no current big player that is working around this opportunity. And so we're able to leverage this gap right now to kind of launch ourselves as the leaders for sustainable packaging in DRC.
On a également apporté un produit innovant sur le marché et cela a été une bonne opportunité pour bâtir en fait l'entreprise.
And our value add really is in our innovation in the type of packaging that we're producing. And that's really been helpful in garnering support.
Une bonne opportunité parce que, comment dirais-je, nous avons plutôt de l'impact social et environnemental. Au niveau social, c'est d'abord parce que nous contribuons à l'amélioration des revenus des agriculteurs en rachetant leurs déchets. Parce que le bananier, en fait, le tronc est considéré comme un déchet agricole. Après la récolte, ce n'est plus utilisé. Mais également au niveau environnemental, parce que nous réduisons largement la déforestation. Généralement, la majeure, comment dirais-je, les papiers, la formule du papier est généralement utilisée on doit en fait couper les arbres, le pin et autres pour pouvoir produire nous
Please amend
contribuons
it due to
à
the
la
time
réduction
limit. It would be
d'utilisation.
appreciated if you could. I'm so sorry.
Oh yes, we'll wrap up on the last point, which is the important part. So in addition, oui, tu veux finir?
Oui, tu peux parler. Non, c'est bon, tu peux
Merci.
parler.
So in addition to the big profitability within this solution, we are also very conscious of our social and environmental impact. the waste materials, well, the materials that we use are actually waste materials from farmers. We use the trunks from banana trees in order to produce this, which normally is just something that's discarded. And it is also an alternative to just cutting down regular like trees, which is what is used in the craft paper making process. And this was something that we did in parallel to reducing the plastic use, because one of the biggest environmental issues right now in DRC is the fact that waste management is an issue and there is no way to properly process plastic. And so looking towards biodegradable solutions is what is ultimately going to help not only improve the quality of life of people in cities by reducing plastic waste, but also providing more sustainable ways to support farmers by buying their waste materials.
Mais également, nous avons connu une croissance exponentielle, donc assez rapide.
We've also been
projet.
very lucky to experience exponential growth very quickly.
Next section.
Next. Je pense que c'est tout.
I think this is the last slide, Ms.
Ouais.
Bombembe.
OK. Voilà, c'était ma petite présentation.
So here's my little
Je-
presentation.
Je vous remercie. Et
Thank you
merci beaucoup
kindly.
pour cette opportunité.
Thank you kindly for this opportunity. Happy to answer questions later.
Thank you so much. Like, despite this time difference, thank you so much for making the time today. We really appreciate it. And also your journey. This is really a niche that you have identified within your region and really matches the needs within your local context. And so I think that is the very successful point of yours. And thank you so much for sharing that experience with us today. So moving on, we are going to jump into our Q&A session. We did receive some questions beforehand. I hope the students who addressed the question to us are here today. So if I can identify our student from the Warriors Champions team, if you could unmute yourself and address the question right away, that would be appreciated. I wonder if you're here today, Warriors team. CDUT Warriors, you have sent me a question. I can address it to you if you don't mind. Yes. So this is what they say. They say, I'm glad to know that Ms. Mikhailova is involved in research on air pollution, because their research is also aimed at solving air pollution at a certain level. And they believe that ventilation is one of the important reasons for air pollution. And because their device considers both human comfort and air pollution, there will be a detection and feedback device to detect air pollution and wind speed. They have two options. One is to directly detect the wind speed and air pollution degree. And the other option is to use the degree of air pollution, which is combined with urban ventilation. Wind speed can directly affect the degree of air pollution, so they quantify different pollution degrees into different wind speeds based on the air pollutant diffusion control thresholds as the data for evaluating the degree of pollution. So sorry, this was a long explanation, but that is to say we judge the degree of air pollution by monitoring the wind speed. What do you think of this detection method? Is it feasible? What can be improved? So Ms. Natalia Mikhailova, sorry, it was a long question, but would you like to deliver your answer to them?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm always very happy to hear from teams who are also addressing the air pollution problem, because it's a very big problem. And yeah, thank you very much for your question. Yes, indeed, the air ventilation and the wind speed is a very important factor. Both actually they are relevant both for the outdoor pollution monitoring, as you have seen, you know, the outdoor pollution is affected by many regional components. So if you have a polluted city upstream and then less polluted city downstream, it can actually be a big impact. Also for indoor air pollution, it's also a very big component, to model the airflow, because the way that air is distributed through the building, it's also affecting how the contaminant can spread. We have used this also method for kind of modeling. For example, when we have a new project and we would like to understand what is some of the factor affecting the air quality in the specific area, we can use this method as a preliminary method to predict the pollution distribution to help better locate the sensors, to place the sensors better. But yeah, it's so I would say it's a very important component, and we actually use it also in our process. There is some challenges with this approach as well, of course. One challenge is that there is many factors that affect the distribution of pollution. Air flow is a big one. Air direction is a big one. But there is also many others, like even something like temperature, humidity, the factor like the design, the design of the space itself, or the city as well on the urban scale, and also of course the chemistry between when the different gases and particles combine, it can also affect what is the outcome. So sometimes in the beginning there could be less pollution, but there is some reaction between the molecules in the air and it becomes more polluted because it forms smoke. So I do think it's a very important method, but you need to consider the other factors, especially if you are looking at this at a high level. For example, like for us, if you have a good tool, we actually would like to use it within our company as well, because that helps us, as I mentioned, to place the sensors and to do better planning. But it's important to consider in addition to airflow, other factors, especially like the spatial design, the 3D modeling, like kind of like building a digital twin of the space. And that factor, it becomes very useful, to apply this airflow dynamics and create like a kind of fluid dynamic model for the place. And that actually is a very good, useful tool for many industries, including for our company. So I would advise you to consider that as one of the next step, if you haven't already, and also maybe consider some of the chemistry around the pollution as well. It depends on what kind of sources you're analyzing, like if it's industrial or like traffic or other kind of sources, and it depends if it's indoors or outdoors. But please consider this in your planning to see. I could also recommend you some kind of resources to if you would like to some feedback. There is some models that are developed by EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, that called Unmix and called PMF. So I could, if you're interested, I could have like a continuous conversation afterwards. So I can recommend something. Thank you for the question.
Thank you, Ms. Nikolova, for sharing your professional perspective and all the details that they can, actual practical steps that they can consider. I'm sure that they will contact you afterwards for the resources, and if they have follow-up questions. Thank you so much for your openness to help them and to mentor them. And the next question we received is from the Disney Princess on the Run team. They actually sent us a couple of questions. They are more focused on mentorship, and those questions are delivered to you, Mr. Tony Chen. And so if I can ask from the very first question, they are asking, as a university student, they have shortage of funds and sometimes lack of motivation and experience, and they're asking how can they better develop their project plan based on the status quo and how they can promote the project better. So if you could give them any of your insight or feedback, that would be appreciated.
Well, as a student, I think the most important thing is to not just restrict yourself in the school. You're gonna have to go to the society, go to the community, and open up your eyes and get to some like a real experience, either in the through the internship, go to the companies, or well, do some actual things instead of just studying from the books. So my recommendation is meeting people, participating in some actual work, and talk to people and open up the eyes. In addition to that, I don't know if there's anything else I can mention about.
Yes, thank you so much. I hope they actually take that into consideration and take the action to explore more. And the next question they have for you is, because their project is about underground logistics, it can be too technical, but they're asking what measures they can take in order to go against some irresistible factors that they may face. So when they're faced with such difficulties, what would you suggest them to do?
Sorry, I missed you.
Yes, so they have mentioned that because their project is based on underground logistics, so it has something to do with the construction, and they are expecting to face a lot of challenges. So when they're faced with such challenges, what can they do? Like whether to contact experts or local governments, what kind of things would you recommend or suggest them to do?
Yeah, well, people facing challenges all the time. We're just gonna have to, accumulate experience. And then the experience comes from the actual work or comes from some experts or from the more experienced people. And with that knowledge, as well as your practice, we'll be able to think things in a different way, not just focus on the problem itself, and see if there's other solutions, other ways to do it. Well, sometimes take a break and do some other things and come back. You might have some other inspirations or intuitions to solve the problems. But look for help from the experienced people is always a good way to solve the problems. But on the other thing is, think. Well, you don't have to solve it immediately sometimes, but with enough thinking or deep thinking, have a better understanding of the truth of it, and you might be able to find a solution. That's my suggestion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. As our champions program, we do agree that it was quite rushed and it is a competition, and I'm sure all the champions didn't have time to really think through everything and take time to look back. So as you have suggested, if students feel rushed or feel like they have this challenge, really wants to solve, but they don't see ways to do it, then yes, thank you so much. I think they can also take time and also consider that this doesn't have to be done right away. They can actually take a step back. That's a really good advice as well. Thank you so much. So now, if we have any other questions, please do raise it to us. If not, we will going to conclude our session. Thank you all so much for your insight and your willingness to really contribute to the students and give them good advice that they can get at their stage. So now let us conclude our workshop. I would like to share a little more about next week's workshop. For the next week, we are going to have design thinking process and methodology. This is a closed session only for champion students who are selected for the next phase. We are inviting professionals here, the people who actually know how design thinking works. They're going to teach you the methodology, and we are going to have breakout sessions where you can actually experience what it is like to ideate and to use a mural. I'm not exactly sure if you heard about Mural. It is a platform for you to raise your ideas and share your ideas in a more interactive way. So we are going to utilize Zoom and Mural at the same time and help our champion students to experience the design thinking workshop. So it is going to be quite a lot of fun. And the spot is limited, so once the information is out within today, please make sure to reserve and register as soon as possible. Yet our next two workshops after next week, June 3rd and June 10th workshop, this is open for everyone. So for these workshops, we are going to invite all 20 teams that are selected for the second phase of Champions team to present their presentation, which they have been working on for the past month. So they will be presenting on their project proposals that they have developed and also improved throughout the weeks with experts' feedback. And so this is going to be really exciting. I am hoping to see every one of you at the June 3rd and June 10th workshop. And if you have any other questions regarding all these events, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you, all the speakers, Mr. Tony Chen, Ms. Natalia, and also Ms. Dorcas. Thank you all so much for joining us and contributing to the workshop today. And also for our champions and all other participants, our members and partners, thank you so much for staying until the very end of the workshop. It has been a long workshop, but I'm sure it was meaningful to every one of us. Thank you all so much for joining us, and I will see you in our next workshop. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.